Hey guys, welcome back to the JoeyPlaysGamess podcast. This is episode 6, I think.
It's the next episode.
It's the next episode. Today we're going to be discussing the finale of WandaVision. We're going to be giving we're going to rank the episodes. We're going to give our final review, talk about how it connects to the future of the MCU, and talk news as we always do. I want to welcome my co-hosts and our special guest to this week. Austin Ferris is joining us to discuss the news, and then my normal motley crew of co-hosts, my brother Nick, Ronnie, Matt, and Owen are here. Owen was getting some lotion because his hands were dry, so we're all excited for this fun episode of the podcast we're gonna do. All right, let's get into it with the news as we always do. All right, so our first story is. In an interview this week with Brandon Davis from comicbook.com, $7, president of production Hiram Garcia, has told comicbook.com that The Rock has already put on the Black Adam suit, and they will be starting production in Georgia next month. Are we excited to start seeing some teasers, some maybe a picture of The Rock in his suit, or we kind of don't really care, and we'll see it when we see it. I want to start with Matt on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to look good in the suit because he's built, but as far as Black Adam goes, I don't know anything about the comics. I haven't read them. It's Shazam, right? That's what it's related to?
Yeah, it's in that magic world of the DC universe.
Is he supposed to be a good guy or a bad guy?
He's
a villain.
Anti-hero villain type deal. He was typically more of a villain, but in recent years they've made him more of an anti-hero.
Played with it.
Okay. I mean, I'm excited to see what it's about.
All right, Owen, you seem to have a point to follow up.
Dude, this guy is just an absolute unit. How is he not going to fit the part of Black Adam?
Very
Fair
true.
points.
Fair point. Austin, as our special guest, do you?
Yeah, I mean, I know. I'm looking at it. I'm looking at the suit, like the teaser trailer images right now. Honestly, he looks pretty good. I haven't seen it before, but I mean, obviously, someone who's jacked has to be like this role. So, I like it. I mean, hold on. Like, there's like a picture where, you
He's
probably
saying I couldn't ever be Black Adam, basically.
Yeah, like you have to be jacked. Like, it's what I said. Yeah. So, definitely looks good. I'm excited to see it. So.
Okay, Ronnie, you excited for The Rock's Black Adam, or kind of
Something we've known for like a couple of years now. He's playing the role. I guess it's just exciting to see that they're finally getting ahead with the actual production of the film, getting him in the suit. Kind of to see that DC's actually finally taking a step towards the film.
Yeah, it was rumored a long time ago. I want to say around 2016 that they were going to do a Superman and Black Adam thing similar to the animated movie. Because there was a picture of him and Henry Cavill sitting around a pool drinking whiskey or something, and that's when these rumors kind of started. I think last year or the year before, they confirmed around December that he was finally playing the role, and then last year he had his own little thing at DC Fandom where they talked about the cast, how they're building out their own Justice Society of America with Hawkman. I believe Dr. Fate's been rumored to appear, as well as a couple other characters.
Hawkman's dope.
So I'm looking forward to it. I've been seeing The Rock doing his 2-a-day workouts, and he looks yoked on Instagram. So I'm excited to see a picture of him in the suit.
Joe, you gotta get like that soon.
I'm working on it. I'm getting there.
Yeah.
We just you in a diaper.
Honestly, I didn't think it would be this soon to hear anything about it. I thought this was much more
Down the road,
conceptually needing work than it was to be like they're starting production in Georgia. So I'm excited. The Rock brings his flair to movies, so hopefully he can bring a new element to the DC universe.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. He's always been talking about shifting. He's going to shift the paradigm in the DC universe. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. It is interesting to note that this, the Flash movie and Shazam are all scheduled to begin production around the same time. Aquaman 2 is supposed to be later this year, I believe, but nothing else has a production date on it. So our next story is about the Sony Spider-Man spin-off, Silk. They added a showrunner, Sang-Kyu Kim, and it's, according to this article and rumors from Illuminati, it's part of the deal that Phil Lord and Chris Miller signed with Sony, and it's targeting to be premiering on Amazon Prime. They are currently looking for a Korean American between 19 and 29, and it is rumored they have approached Adeline Rudolph, but there have been no talks or confirmation. So does anybody really know what Silk is? Because I myself have no idea, and I'm just confused. But I thought
You don't know what Silk is?
No, I just knew it's in the Spider-Man universe, and they've been trying to get this in development for.
I just know like it's a thing that like these little worms make, and then they're like. No?
Well, it's that. Not
Yes,
wrong.
the Silk Road. Let's go.
That's something else. There's two things of those. Does anyone? I have the
All right,
Comically, I know I could.
give us.
I'm pretty sure
The
it's
elevator pitch.
genetics of the same spider
Okay.
as like clone bit her, and she was. It's like all very genetically engineered, made in a lab type stuff. She breaks out, and then her and Spider-Man have this.
So kind of like Superboy.
Yeah, that's closest tie, but her and Spider-Man have a weird relationship because something with the spiders makes them
Ew, it's
attracted to each other.
Oh, okay.
in
I was
ways.
like, where are we going with this? Are they like enemies? Do they
No,
have,
no,
like...
no, no. It's kind
That's
of.
what
I don't know.
it is.
All right. Well,
I
They're
that-
smashing each
I
other
doubt
with
they'll
blood.
play into
Basically,
that.
just
Yeah, but I was just more like they have a.
Joe,
Spider-Man gets some.
Go ahead, Ronnie.
Yo, basically, they got bit by the spider that was made. He got her powers from the same spider that Peter got his powers from. Except she was developed in some kind of lab to enhance her powers. So her powers are more natural. Peter's, he had the web shooters. So hers is more like even like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man, like that.
okay.
And she has like extra spider powers like toxic venom. So like her webs are now stuff like that. Story is she's in the lab so they could enhance her spider powers. Peter Parker found her by accident and broke her out. And because they were bit by the same spider, when they're around each other, they release some kind of hormone that makes them more spider feral, like more to their primitive state of being a spider, which is why they act like how Nick said they act. So like they'll fight a lot, but they'll also do a lot of
Yeah. Okay.
Love.
Does that mean you're excited for this, Ronnie, or is it kind of like why is this the first TV show we're getting?
I'm more confused.
I'm excited,
why
but
it's
I had no-
on Prime.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with Nick. I'm a little confused.
That's kind of why I picked it up as a news piece.
Is that because of Sony? Is Sony and Amazon Prime? Are they,
Sony just doesn't have a streaming service.
Why not put it on Hulu then? Don't put it on Disney Plus to keep the relationship somewhat separate, but then put it on Hulu. And if they're trying to do something somewhat darker, not like dark, but like
No, I know what you're talking about.
Netflix style levels of maturity, I think
Amazon could have just won the bidding war for it.
maybe,
Would be the other thing.
which makes it really confusing. Is it going to be in canon or is it
It's
Marvel canon
supposed
or
to
is
be
it
part of the
Sony
universe.
canon?
I don't know.
Okay.
I all I know is I included this piece because it had the Amazon Prime piece attached to it and the showrunner announcement as well as the casting rumor. So I was like, there's a lot of things to unpack here, especially because this is the first thing they're venturing into in the TV realm when they haven't even really gotten the universe off the ground.
So this is not animated?
No, this is supposed to be live action.
Who's gonna play Spider-Man? Do they know?
That's we're We don't know. We assume it's supposed to be connected to the Tom Holland thing, but it could be its own.
So is
Marvel,
this
I
is connected
understand.
to the DC?
DC, I'm like, I kind of get, but really have no clue. And then Sony, I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I'm just
This
confused as to if this is going to be like a Venom
movies?
thing, or if it's going to be a Marvel.
I don't know, because they're supposed to be trying to build toward this Venom thing is working with Marvel. Like, Tom Holland talked that apparently they've bridged whatever gap and they're going to be working together from now on. There's going to be no after Far From Home thing where he's going back to
Contract debates.
contractually he's going back to Sony and they're going to do their own thing over there. They're supposed to be working hand in hand and the characters are supposed to be able to jump, but there's been no official word and we haven't seen anything concrete, so we're just grasping at straws.
Jeez.
It's a hot
Well,
mess.
then I really don't know what to think at that point. I mean, like, it's interesting. I really like the character, and I would hope they do it right. But I just want to make sure they actually do it right. If they're gonna make it a universe thing, if they're not gonna make a universe thing, just stick to one thing. You know, that's all I really would want for it.
Yeah. I mean, I trust the minds behind it. Phil Lord and Chris Miller did a great job with the Spider-Verse movie. They're hopefully doing a great job with the second one.
Oh, for sure.
But this whole thing's got me confused. And until we start seeing Venom and Morbius and Spider-Man 3, I don't think we really have an idea of what exactly they're doing. It's just them greenlighting projects.
That Venom movie was garbo.
Yeah, just you wait. In August
As long as
or
they give
June,
us
you're supposed to
Zendaya,
get
that's
another
all
one.
we need.
Another one?
Yep.
Great.
Why?
I don't know. All right, next story up on the list.
Carnage.
Broke late last night. It's coming from Illuminati again. Marvel Studios is officially bringing the X-Men into the MCU. We knew this was a long time coming, but the big thing about this is they've created their own production identity / company about it, and it's supposed to be tentatively titled The Mutants, which is supposed to be a throwback to what Stan Lee initially wanted them to be called, but his editor didn't like that, so he switched them to the X-Men after Charles Xavier. But Kevin Feige's always been a big fan of the comics and pulling this stuff. He was really tight with Stan Lee. So this is supposed to be a tongue-in-cheek type of reference. Do you guys think they're going to stick with this title or not? Austin, what do you think?
Wait, so you were saying like they're gonna introduce it to Marvel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then what were say one more time what were you saying about the titles?
So the title tentatively is The Mutants.
Okay. Oh, okay. I got it.
Instead of it being called X-Men like the
Right,
Fox
right.
universe was, they're just the starter.
Honestly,
movie is tentatively
okay.
The Mutants.
I don't think the Mutants sounds like the X-Men sounds way cooler than the Mutants, in my opinion. Like if they were gonna like I guess I don't know whose decision that is, but if it was me, I would definitely like I don't like that tentative title that much. Like I would pick the X-Men over that, or something with the X-Men in it.
So you don't think they're going to keep it?
Well, I mean, I don't know if they're going to keep it or not, but I'm saying if it was me, like I would change it.
Yeah. Matt, what do you think?
When you're making like newer movies and shit, having a title like The Mutants to me sounds kind of corny. But there's some
it's like that's what I was going to say.
nostalgic value. You know what I mean? Like retro, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it could sound kind of cool if they're making this name out of some kind of throwback, like you mentioned. I don't mind it. I think that's cool because it also gets people more like, oh, this is something new versus an X-Men movie that everyone's familiar with as far as titles go. So.
Yeah, but I mean, people also might want that familiarity.
True.
Type.
Oh, and do you have any thoughts?
I mean, I feel like the mutant thing is probably just a throwback to Stan Lee's original title, and then
Yeah.
really it. I mean, I don't really care either way what it's called.
Right Ryan,
As long as it's not a remake, you're good.
do you got any opinion on this, or are you just excited for the X-Men to finally be officially part of the MCU in whatever way they bring them in?
I think I kind of agree with Matt. Like the whole like giving him their own name is because it's like gives them their own identity in the MCU. Like Matt said, it differentiates them from saying like, oh, it's just another X-Men movie, you know. And I feel like the MCU has done a good job of doing that with sources like Spider-Man, giving him the home in every single title, kind of making that their own shtick, and making the X-Men the mutants now with this. I feel like it's their way of kind of making it a part of their world, not its own thing. You know? So I'm excited to see what that entails, like how they put a spin on that name and make it a household name, like they'd have the Avengers. But yeah, I mean, besides that, I'm pretty indifferent. It's just interesting.
Yeah, Nick, any thoughts?
Yeah,
Or
I
you
think
just kind
I think that's pretty much covered. Of like, it's the game they're playing is how close do they think they can go to the X-Men? Like, they're playing a game between like having to name it something completely different to define it in the Marvel universe, or will they go with the X-Men, which is everyone was known, but it's known with their association to the Fox universe. So I think they're just playing that game. It might just be a production title, which all these movies get, and they'll end up having
Changing.
an actual release title for it.
yeah, I think it's just their way of trying to distinguish themselves between them and Fox. The last two pieces of news are just quick release date updates. A Quiet Place 2 moves from September 17th to Memorial Day weekend, May 28th. And then Fast and Furious 9 has been hit with its third delay and is pushed to...
No one cares.
Matt, you were the one that wanted this story in here!
Oh, it was a joke. I really could care less about the
I
Fast and
hate
Furious
you.
movie.
You're the only reason I included these two stories!
I don't care.
Well, I care about A Quiet Place.
It's a prequel, right?
A Quiet Place?
Yes.
When that
A
matters.
prequel?
It's got prequel elements, but it's a sequel.
Oh, all
That
right.
could be, that could be cool. That could be cool.
I don't remember.
Furious
There's
53.
a flash. I think there's a flashback scene. It's more
Flashback
of a
scene
sequel.
is like the intro.
Yeah.
Probably. All right, cool.
Jump presents. He's like an old man.
Well,
Yeah,
I
bro.
think he got
Furious
eaten
10
in
is
the last
just
one,
furious
spoilers.
enough fast.
F9 moves to
oh right, I forgot the trailer.
May 28th, which is coincidentally the same day as Venom 2, which is not mentioned in this article. But
You need a life to that on that one.
Two movies being
I
released on the
could-
same day that nobody cares about.
Well,
well,
I think
Well,
Fast
Quiet Place I
9
care about.
wins out there because people at this point have understood that it's just dumb, stupid fun, and somehow the plot always ends up being it's about family, and I think it's just like, all right, let's just see how stupid it ends up being.
It's true.
that's about it. There are rumors going around that Black Widow is looking to hold its date because it was certified in China to keep its release date. But we'll see if that moves. I think that kind of is still up in the air depending on how Raya and the Last Dragon does, which comes out today. I plan on watching it this weekend with the family, and we'll try and report back next week. All right, that's it for the news. Austin, I don't know if you want to stick around for the show since you haven't really...
I'll stick around for a little bit.
Okay.
Just to hear it out. Listen.
Cool.
Listen.
All right, so we're going to get into spoiler talk of WandaVision Episode 9. I want Matt to start us off here because Matt seemed to come into the call with some strong opinions on it.
No. Okay. It was just... I enjoyed the episode, and I liked that whole reality concept they were going about with the family and how they're just, like, you know, at the end of the day, they're going to be memories and all that. My problem is I have really high expectations for the final episode. Not only with the big release, or not release, what am I saying? The big reveal that I thought I was going to get, but also just, I'm going to be honest, I don't like Agatha as a villain. I feel like she's very, whatever. Like, there's no depth to her. It's really, she's a lame villain. And I feel like when you're getting towards the end of the show here, you're really seeing a lot of the villain. It's not much more. It's not much behind the scenes anymore. So you really have to have a good villain for like the audience to really be engaged with that side of the story, in my opinion. But overall, like I was satisfied. It was a good episode. I feel like we completed what we started. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think there was a thread there that I want to pick up on later that I think is going to continue probably throughout our discussion of was this show hyped up too much that it couldn't live up to its own hype? Owen, what did you think of this finale?
I thought it was a solid episode. Well, honestly, in my opinion, not the best episode in the series. There's just some parts where it's like, you know, the part where Agatha is like, oh, she's kind of winning, but then she tries, oh, and she absorbed all the magic, and then she tries to use it, and it's like, oh yeah, I called that. I totally called that. It was like
Rule number 9.
real obvious what was gonna happen. It's so obvious, and it's just like it was kind of like, eh. Like the vision stuff that was cool.
I'm
The
confused
ending
about
was,
that.
Yeah, I'm
crazy.
interested to pick up on that one later.
Ending was weird, dude.
Nick, what did you think?
I think
Maybe the boys.
that it is a good book and for a story about grief. And if you look at the entire series as if you maintain it to be a story about grief and like kind of like how people deal with that, I think is a much different. I think you come out with a much different feeling. When I was coming through it of like kind of pushing it more to the Marvel experience of let's get the big reveals, let's get the universe progression. But if you stop that and kind of look more of it at what they were trying to tell for the character of Wanda, I think that elevates it more than some people came out with it today.
Ronnie, follow up your thoughts here.
Yeah, I feel like I agree with you a lot. Like, if you look like its own story of what it's supposed to be, Wanda suffering after the events of Endgame, I feel like it does that well. I can agree with Matt that Agatha's character may have been a little underused or underdeveloped, as I feel like in at least one overall comic story, Agatha plays a major role. So seeing her be kind of degraded down to villain, like the last 2 episodes, kind of felt a little. But aside from that, looking at it as Wanda's story, I feel like it did a good job of that, especially how it ends. Right, how it started with her just the empty house and just kind of left there with her memories. I felt like that was done. Overall, I feel it was a solid ending, and I feel like a lot of any disappointment that I felt was only because of how much hype installations fans did, not because of the show did. So.
Yeah. I think the fan community itself built this show up to be a lot more than it was. And I think toward the end, through the last couple episodes, we all started or at least myself, I started realizing that all the expectations and predictions and the theories that we were building up wasn't what this show was going to deliver. And I think it hurts your initial reaction to the show. So I'm very much interested. I enjoyed the finale because I was trying to really temper my expectations going into that and being like, this is the end. Let them tell their story and react to their story. Don't put additional pressure on it because it didn't have this cameo or that cameo. Let it tell its story and then react it later. So I'm interested to see, once I give it a couple weeks, to go back and rewatch it all again as its own self-contained thing, removed from the theories. And I think I'm definitely going to come out of it with a more enjoyment. All right, so
Joe, let me jump in there for a second about what you just said about how, like, dude, I saw, because I was on YouTube and I was looking at a bunch of like. I saw some pretty popular reaction channels where like they were all like reacting to WandaVision, which I was surprised by because I thought it was kind of more. I didn't think it was like. I guess there was a lot of hype. I didn't think there was that much hype around it, but yeah, dude, it was like people with like really like pretty big reaction channels were reacting to it. So I was like, That was just something I noticed. I just wanted to add that detail.
Yeah, it's definitely taken our popular culture by storm recently, through TikTok and YouTube and whatnot. Very interesting to see how it moves forward, though, because WandaVision kind of started matching Mandalorian levels of hype toward the end, but Falcon and Winter Soldier is looking to be more of a straightforward thing. So I wonder if this hype is going to continue or it's going to drop. Let's get into some of the big plot pieces here. So I wanna first talk about the philosophical thing going on between the two visions of who is the real Vision, and does it really matter, and where do we think the body of Vision went at the end?
I'm lost on that.
I don't know.
I have no idea where his body went, but like
I understood
thinking about how they're both him, but not him was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciated that part. Matt, what did you understand?
I understand like the little conversation they were having when they were going back and forth about what is real Vision, and he was like, "I'm not the real Vision. I am." What do you say? A sort of with a C, a conditional Vision or something like that. Like I understood where they were going with that, but maybe I just missed it. Like, where did the White Vision even come out of? Like, I'm still pretty confused. Like, I have no. That whole thing was a blur to me, honestly.
Okay,
so if someone can explain that to me, that'd be great.
White Vision was what Hayward put back together out of Infinity War dead Vision's body parts. So they reanimated him using technology and Wanda's chaos magic from the drone. So they reanimated that old body, but it didn't have any of the new experiences or the
previous experiences were trapped in code.
Yeah, the previous experiences were trapped behind code, but it also didn't have the same directive of Tony Stark of protecting humanity. And the other Vision is is one that Wanda entirely created out of her own pain, suffering, grief, love, all of these things.
And the portion of the Infinity Stone
that is in her. Yeah. So it's supposed to be this duality of one is the old body parts, but may not necessarily have the personality that made him Vision. While the other one doesn't have his body parts, but has as close to a personality that Wanda could replicate.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Does that help it make more sense?
So how is part of the wisdom?
I always understood what her Vision was, the one she created, but it was the White Vision. I guess it just flew past me that Gordon, Gordon, right? That's his name. Hayward. Gordon Hayward.
Hayward's a basketball player.
Yeah. It flew past me that Hayward was that he created that to bring back Vision. Like or do whatever he had to do. I flew past.
Yeah. Oh, and what were you saying?
What was I saying?
I don't know. You started interrupting.
I just totally
Ronnie, do you have?
Fuck, I don't remember.
Oh
wait, no, I did.
Oh wait, nope. Owen does. Never mind.
Wisdom Stone in Wanda, like or a part of it. Like that confuses me.
Wait, what?
The stone that was in her.
I think that was just a
part of the stone in her.
How I understood that was the experience of her removing the stone that left a piece inside of her. So I think it was more just talking metaphorically of that event is a part of her from forever. So she just kind of summed it up as
a trace of it in her. Or?
Yeah, I don't think it's like real traces of it. I think it's just kind of like metaphorical traces.
Doesn't she need the traces to create that though?
Well, if we remember back to Infinity War, when they were in Wakanda trying to remove the stone, and like Shuri was like, "You don't really need the stone for the synthezoid. Like you could have built him a different way and still had."
Yeah, so that's kind of how Hayward did it, and then she did it through magic. So there's very much a chance that we are going to see
Him come back again.
dead Vision or dead copy Vision come back and White Vision coexisting at the same time at some point in the MCU. Ronnie, give us your thoughts and then we'll move on to the kids. Oh dear.
He is kind of what?
Nothing. You weren't. I could see your mouth moving, but nothing was coming out.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
I was just saying. What's it called? I really like that scene between two visions and the whole ship of Theseus kind of metaphor between them, because I feel like it's them in a very obvious way. Kind of how if you rebuild the ship piece by piece until it's a whole ship with three pieces, it's still the same ship under the same name. And I feel like that's a perfect representation of both, because while one was built through the personality of what Vision truly was at the heart of him, like through Wanda's animation and through Wanda's vision, the other was the actual literal parts of Vision without his personality. And so I feel like what happened at the end between them was, Wanda's personality, Vision, giving him back those memories to let him form his own own form of Vision itself, a third Vision. And I feel like where we saw him was kind of his own, similar to Wanda, his own way to discover who he truly is and who he become from that. So I think it was really interesting the way they played it out between them. And I'm not so sure if we're going to have Vision come back. I feel like it might be just this White Vision becoming the Vision again to some extent. But that's where I'm left with it. So I really liked it.
Yeah, I liked how they played with it. Let's move on to what we think is going to happen with the kids. Nick, you can go ahead and answer that if you want. Wiccan and Speed at the end of the show are no more, as well as Carbon Copy Vision, but we hear a little scream at the end in the post-credit scene while Wanda's studying the Book of Chaos Magic. Or the Book of the Damned, I think is what it is. Do we think we are going to see the kids again, either in Doctor Strange 2 or just somewhere down the line? Ronnie. Owen.
Yeah, I think we could. I mean, you mentioned Doctor Strange mentioned the Sorcerer Supreme, and because that's him, right?
Yeah.
They mentioned. Agatha mentioned him, so I mean, he stated if they didn't use it. I mean, it's just like it. I think because I can't fucking talk right now.
Yeah,
I think
are you struggling there, dog?
I'm burnt out, dude. I had 4 exams this week, and I had 2 of them today.
It's okay.
So,
Well,
so where were
I
we?
feel that. I feel that.
talking about the children, do we think they're coming back? Are they going to come back in Doctor Strange 2 or further down the line? I'll let you pick up on that one.
Well, I think that it'd be silly to first give a face to the characters and have the characters become such an emotional tie to Wanda and have her seem to be the keystone of the story upcoming and not bring them back. I think that they actually garnered a good reception among the audience. So it might be more that they're not going to bring them back immediately. To kind of just honestly just let the characters just grow up a little bit. Because I don't know how old the actors are, but for like the Young Avengers movie that's rumored, I'd maybe try to gap that age so they look, even though the ages might not be as close, gap the look of them all so they make look closer.
Yes.
Sorry, I
know what you're talking about.
Same thing, Owen. I can't talk.
Ronnie, what do you think about the kids? Where do you think we're going to see them?
I agree with Nick. I feel like it'd be a waste to give these characters a personality and a face and everything, especially when they're such crucial characters in future stories like the Young Avengers. So I feel like we will see them come back, especially because of how they were hinted at towards the very end of the episode with the epilogue and the end credit scene. I do have high hopes for them back. Yeah, that's all I can really say.
Okay.
I would hope they do.
Matt, do you think we're seeing these kids ever again, or do you think they're lost to the space?
Lost to the sauce.
I mean, you heard them at the end. They're gonna be back. They wouldn't throw that in there without bringing them back.
It was 3,000. That's what they said this time, right?
Yeah, of course. Every child in the MCU from here on out was just gonna say "I love you" 3,000. I think they're coming back. At least I think we'll start shifting the discussion to the end credit scene here. I think that moment of Wanda studying the book of Chaos Magic, she's trying to better understand her powers, how she can bring them back in a more permanent fashion, so she won't have to say goodbye. It definitely sounded like whatever version that she found or listened to is in trouble or is in a constant state of pain at the moment. So I believe we're gonna see probably at the beginning of Doctor Strange 2, she's gonna cause a problem by trying to bring her kids back. Also, I love the outfit. Her final form costume is super.
Hot.
Ronnie just messaged me. Good night, Mom. Enters literal hell.
I think that's something they could play with. That
Can they catch a break, man? It's like
these poor kids, man.
God damn.
Matt, what is your interpretation of that final end credit scene?
The final end credit scene
Yeah, not that middle secret.
with the okay. All that told me is that obviously before WandaVision was even a thing, I never associated Wanda with like magic and stuff like this. I feel like they built upon that with this show. And that end credit scene to me is basically saying that they're going to expand on that and kind of world build for that kind of stuff. So you're going to see like more witches and shit.
We're doubling
That's
down
what it
on the
tells
magic.
me.
Okay. Owen, do you have a coherent thought to add to this?
Coherent? Maybe. No. It was pretty creepy, and I thought, maybe there's a little bit evil in her, or not evil, I guess. I mean, darkness per se.
I think there is some darkness there that we may see eventually. Doctor Strange 3 typed.
Closer somehow.
Yeah.
With Strange, save him. That kind of type beat,
Yeah.
That demon type beat.
Ronnie, do you have a different interpretation, or are you kind of along the same lines with the rest of us here?
The same thing, except the one thing that can really distinguish is I find it interesting to see her doing that whole oh dear. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you lean back, it doesn't pick it up.
Cool. What's it called? Like I said, I pretty much have the same opinion, except the only thing like different, or I guess cool that I noticed, that I'm sure everyone else noticed, is the fact that y'all like y'all does it sound like does it sound bad? Does it sound bad?
You sound good now.
No.
I'm
All right. And basically just basically just that
Just gone.
Doctor Strange had done something similar in his movie when he was laying in bed reading up on the book that he stole from Wong. And so I felt like it was cool to see Wanda doing a similar spell, her kind of studying while the other version of her like wandering around. And I feel like it's just gonna go into the whole thing that what Agatha said, where she's like, you have all the powers, you have all the strength, you just don't have the knowledge. And I feel like once she has the knowledge, she might become one of the biggest powerhouses in the MCU, more so than she is now. So it's just interesting to see what that becomes.
Okay. Do you have any different interpretation for me on that one, or no?
I would think it's more the idea that the Scarlet Witch is the evil and not Wanda.
Okay.
That either
Kind of like a
it's-
Ragnarok situation.
Yeah, and I think giving her the title, I don't think they'll take it away from her, but I think it'll be more like along the lines of purifying the spirit. If that's the basic way to
I get
deem
what you're
it
talking
as a spirit, you purify it from the devil in it or whatever it is. That so she keeps the title.
Religious.
They built so much to give her the title. I don't see why they would like strip it
Take it
away
away
from
right
her. If it is so dark as kind of like Agatha was building it to be, I think you'll see it to be more kind of separating the darkness from the title,
Okay.
the moniker.
Phoenix and Jean Grey.
Yeah, very similar Dark Phoenix type deal. Okay, I guess the last little bit to get into would
Reaction.
we can. I think we'll talk about that while we do this and final review. Last little bit, the Secret Invasion thing with Monica. Are we kind of? Does this build any more hype for the Secret Invasion show or Captain Marvel 2, or is it kind of like eh? And do we think she kept her powers? Because you and I think she kept her powers.
Yes.
But I don't know about the rest of you guys. Matt, let's start with you.
Yeah, I think she kept her powers, and like it's gonna continue off of. It's gonna build off of the Captain Marvel stuff. So I'm not like I liked Captain Marvel in the movie, and I thought it was good, but I wouldn't say I'm super hyped or anything.
I would just have to say one thing: Samuel Jackson. Not like not young, but like we get Nick Fury, and I think it'll be. I think the show's gonna focus more on him. I don't think why you would have him there and have him be a background character. That just seems stupid. So I think it'll be him having.
Yeah,
But that's
him and
that's just me.
Oh, and you were saying something. What do you? Are you hype about this, or kind of just eh? We'll see it when we see it.
I mean, definitely your powers, in my opinion. I mean, I'm not really hyped about it because I kind of thought the whole Captain Marvel movie was kind of boring.
Okay.
Well, they had the shapeshifter from it, which I'm assuming is the little kid one that was in the movie. When I
Could be.
remember.
I mean, the big thing I'm hinting at here is the comic line of Secret Invasion, which they're adapting similar into a show with Nick Fury and Talos, is about the Skrulls taking assimilating and infiltrating Earth in the highest positions. That even some of the heroes are not really our heroes; they're actually Skrulls. So that's kind of what they're starting to build toward. That I think we're going to get double down in Captain Marvel, or Captain Marvel 2, and then Secret Invasion will pay it off. Ryan, do you have any?
Big cut.
Or Owen, sorry.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
It's like that'd be cool.
Ronnie, any thoughts on that? Or
I had no clue that it was gonna be tie into Secret Invasion. That scene, what the way I took from it was kind of like almost like a nod to how Nick Fury would come at the end of every superhero movie and say like, "Oh, let me talk to you about the Avengers Initiative," and that's how I interpret it. And I thought that was really cool because in my head I was like, "Oh, could this be like the start of like the new Avengers now that we've had Endgame and like where that will go? And could she be one of the first new initiatives of that?" But looking at it from a perspective of Secret Wars, I feel like it's interesting, and it's definitely something that I'll look forward to knowing that storyline a little bit. I don't fully know it well, but I know it enough to understand what it's about and what it entails. So I feel like it'd be really interesting to see that in the MCU and how that plays out. So seeing as that's the start of it, yeah, I'm pretty excited for that, yeah.
Okay. All right. I think we've kind of wrapped up a lot of the plot elements, but let's get into ranking. Ranking the show. We're gonna go kind of episode by episode. We'll start with episode 1, and we'll move them up and down. I think we'll tie 1 and 2 together. So we'll just do rank them 1 to 8. So let's start with 1 to 2. Owen, where do you want to put number episodes 1 and 2, which are the black and white episodes?
We're doing them together.
Yes.
I'm just trying to pull them up real quick, just the list of them.
Here, I've got. I will switch to the list over here.
Yeah,
so
I got
the
it.
audience can see.
Honestly, they're probably least favorite.
Okay. So put them down at 8.
Should we get the whole cast's
Yeah.
opinion? Does
Yeah,
anyone else feel the same way?
I put them at 8 for me.
No, they're not my least favorite for me personally.
Okay.
Okay, so that's.
I felt like when you finish the series, you appreciate it more. The first 2.
Yeah, I feel like 7 does a lot to appreciate those 2.
I didn't like the more modern sitcoms. I was like, I'm not a fan. But the past ones, I saw where they were going with it. But I wouldn't. Like, I don't know.
See, if you would have
It's
to
obviously
put a
not a
number
good
on it,
episode 4 or anything to me.
if you had to put a number on it, where would you put it?
I would put it anywhere from 43 to negative 72 imaginary number.
Okay, so I'm gonna say that's a 5. All right,
So,
Rodney.
listen, it's not one of the best, but it could go anywhere from 5 to the last.
All right, okay.
Okay.
I see where you're going. All right, Ronnie. Do you feel like it's
Where would I rank them?
Yeah.
I would think it was like a 7, maybe.
All right, so
I don't dislike any of the episodes, but I don't feel like it's worth being last. I think it has that kind of magic, you know.
All right,
So 7 maybe for me.
at this point, it's not 8. Joey, where do you feel like it goes?
I'm down to put it at 7.
7. I will put it at 7.
Sounds
as well.
good. I think
So-
that would probably be 7 for me.
You could just do 1 and 2.
Yes, because I just
Oh my
remember
God.
one of these episodes. It's like,
All right, episode 3, in the 70s,
So where she gives birth.
and is pregnant, and we get Monica Rambeau kicked out.
I will now start in reverse. Joseph, how do you feel?
8.
Give it an 8.
8. Is that a unanimous 8 for episode 3?
Yeah.
All
I
right.
don't know. I put it like, of
Put it at 6.
7.
I might put it at 6.
Actually, yeah, I would put it at 6 as well.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's
Because that
I have an idea. I have an idea for what my 8 is.
okay.
Okay.
I kind of know what my 8 is.
There we
Yeah,
go.
same.
All right.
My 8 is Halloween.
Okay. Episode 4. We get the outside
1.
world perspective, close up on Monica, and we meet Jimmy Woo and Darcy again, and see what's going on.
1 or 2. 1 or 2.
All right.
I'd
say
might
2.
Be
I want to say 2.
1 or 2.
I want
Yeah,
to
but
say
if you're
2.
saying
I'd put,
I'm
I don't
saying
know what-
definitive 2. I'm saying
I don't know what's better. I
1.
don't know which one's
I know what my 1 is.
yeah, I put it.
I would say 2. I would say 2.
All right. Matt says
That might be my 1.
All right. Joey.
I say 3.
Okay. That brings it to.
No, I'm
me.
confident with 1. I'm confident with 1 for me. That was my favorite.
I will
Well,
put it-
I want 2.
I mean, these are gonna move after we start putting in other ones too. So just don't forget. Let's not forget that.
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
I'd put-
For all reaching a consensus, I feel like 2 is the best one.
Episode 4.
All right, episode
it's-
5.
The dog dies.
The dog dies.
Nah.
Trouble in Paradise.
One, I think episode 5 might be my least favorite.
Okay, that's
Really? That's my 1, I'm pretty sure.
But it's episode.
Really?
let's
That's
not
my one.
forget Episode 5 is the.
What happened in episode 5 again? What else happened in that?
Isn't that the end scene that you really
What
like?
happened in 5?
yes.
Okay,
That's
well, how,
5 goes higher for me.
make
Five?
the argument for episode
5?
5 then.
Episode
You gotta
5
persuade
is
your co-host.
5 is
Someone tell me what was in 5 again.
okay. 5 is
Some
when The kids
dog
age
dies.
up. They get the dog. The dog dies. Vision at work finds out from the email from Darcy of what's going on outside the bubble and tries to get Norm to tell him. They come home and have the argument, and then we get the Evan Peters as Pietro reveal at the end.
Number
And
4.
the bubble. And then did Wanda extend the bubble there? No. That was in the.
That's next.
Episode 4 was still better than that.
5 is probably.
5 is 1 to me.
5 is
mean-
probably. Okay.
7, 5, and
Five might
4
be
are
like,
interchangeable for me as the top 3.
5 would probably be like. I think about it. I forgot what happened. So I'd say 3. 3 or 4. 3 or 4.
It's my 1.
Yeah, but what would be the 1 if we put that as 3? Something that none of us think.
I mean, I would say 7.
Yeah.
Or not 7, 8.
7 would be
8.
my 3.
I'd say
Maybe even my 4.
8's my 1.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
8? You're trash.
Yeah,
I liked it.
I'd say
Okay.
so.
Go
I think
ahead.
5 at 3 is good.
8 was good. Shit, I didn't even think about that.
How do you hold?
You can
5.
put 8 as 1. That's fair.
6. I mean,
So we
I'd
got
probably
6,
put
7, and 9.
6 is my 8. 6 is my 8.
Yeah, 6
Six
in
is
just
your
terms
8.
of like
Okay.
how it is in the story.
Yeah, 6
I
is
think
8.
it's just the weakest episode.
I'm okay with putting 6 down there. I think it's got cool moments,
Yeah.
but it's not
It's
great.
the weakest episode. Every other episode is more or
7?
their cool moments.
7 is kids get kidnapped, and Monica goes back in.
Huh.
And Agatha's exposed at the end of it, right?
5.
So we got 4. We have a 4 and
Put
5
five
slot
or
left
4.
open. Does the finale
Put-
do
I
better?
put that at 5 or 4.
I
Those
think
are our only
7 is
spots.
probably. I put 7 at 4.
Okay. So
I think
I could do 4 or 5. Either one.
Their one's
I
fine.
think-
I
think
I personally
that
like
drops
it.
to 4.
you think which drops to 5? 7 drops to
7
5.
drops to 5. Yeah.
Okay. Ah. That's it.
Actually, I put 7 at 5. I'm fine with 7 at 5.
All right.
All right, so we're going episode 8 is number 1 with the
Wanda's-
traveling through Wanda's past. Episode 2 is where we first break outside of the hex. Episode 5 where we get the argument scene at the end at number 3. The finale at number 4. 5 would be number 7 with the modern sitcom and the reveal of Agatha as the bad guy, trapping the kids. Monica goes back in, and then we go episode 7, which is Halloween, or no, 6 is Halloween. Did we skip 6? No, 6 is down
6
here.
is
Never
Halloween.
mind. 3, episode 3, in the 70s at number 6. 7 with 1 and 2, and 8 is episode 6 with the Halloween scene. Do we all agree with this list, or does somebody want to argue higher or lower?
Which one did you put for number 1 again?
Episode 8.
So when we go through Wanda's mind to
Okay.
figure her out,
Yeah.
I think
What's number
that's a good
3?
list.
What's
That's a good
number 3?
episode 5.
Episode 5, which is the argument scene at the end that you and I really like.
I would switch 7 and 8.
You would switch 7 and 8.
5 and 8.
5 and 8?
They said 5.
Yeah, the first one, the third spot.
I
You gotta get the
don't
vote
agree.
of
I
the,
would
you gotta
I
get
would
the
drop
vote of
4
the majority.
before I would switch those.
Okay.
I think 8 is just 8 has.
I think you can leave it as is. I think that's a comfortable list.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I
This is a
could
good
argue
list.
3 and 2 flopping.
Episode 4, the reason I put it as number 1 in my book is just because you're kind of seeing all the sitcom things go through, and once you see that, it's like, whew, it's like you're finally seeing the mystery unravel, and the way they go about it with explaining and connecting it to the outside world is just really well done. Like I don't have any complaints for that episode. That's
Okay.
why I would
And
put it as
I
number
think
one.
the snap scene, especially, and how we're introduced to Monica, I don't think there's any real qualms that anyone had with Monica like throughout the series. I don't feel like I'm
No,
speaking for anybody, so I think that's a really good introduction to her. And
I'm okay with this list.
yeah.
I think we keep this list as is.
Okay,
I'm happy with this list.
All right, now
I agree.
should we get everyone's personal opinions on?
No, I'll put that in a document later. But let's go around. Give final thoughts on the show. I want to start with Owen as our resident
haircut,
weeb
Joey?
expert.
Yes. He
Did you get a haircut, Joey?
Yes, I
really
did
likes
last
it.
week.
No.
You are the only long-haired, or actually, you and Ronnie are the only long-haired gang. Sorry, I was looking at the long Samson like Ronnie locks, and I'm like, oh shit, I forgot.
Yeah, sorry, my hair's all wet still.
It's all good. All right, Owen, give us your thoughts. Rate it out of 10. Do whatever you want to
The
do.
series.
Series as a whole.
All right. I put it at 7. I think I'm comfortable. I'm really think it's just like a good 7 series.
Okay.
It's like it's a great show. But I mean, I've seen better things in similar genres to this that like
Nothing
there's
really
some
blew
part
you
there's just
away
some
about
parts
it.
of the show that like
Okay.
episode 8 definitely blew me away, but it's like there's just a lot of other parts in like episodes that are just kind of like mid. Like the Halloween episode is like really drags it down, like story wise and everything. It's like
to look at that and how close
its highs are like way
That's
better than
lower
its
than
lows.
I like it, except for
That's similar like Naruto. Naruto's way worse than this
Okay. Ronnie.
whole series.
Actually, Naruto's worse than this.
Austin
like a
finally
seven.
speaks up.
Yeah. Now there's something I know.
I disagree with that.
Yeah.
I would say that I give it like a solid 7.9, maybe even 8. I feel like, yeah, it has its lows. Overall, from what the story is, I feel like they did a good job at telling the condensed story of Wanda's grief for the whole thing, like they put it. And on top of that, the writing was done really well. I feel like there was no, I mean, after it has some of the classic Marvel lines, but overall, the scenes with Vision, the chemistry between Vision and Wanda, all written very well in my opinion, and I felt like they did a good job with that. Exploring the character did a good job. Setting up Phase 4 did a good job. What it was supposed to be, and for its show itself, I give it a 7.9 or 8 or 8.1 in that little range.
Okay.
It was a really well shown.
Matt,
Um,
give us your honest
Well,
thoughts.
yeah. Let me start by giving it praise. I think what Disney's doing. I think what Disney's doing with these almost like movie quality shows is the future of TV. I'm serious about that. Like stuff with The Mandalorian and what they're doing now with all these Marvel things. Like there's a lot of hype for it, and it's well deserved because you're not going to get something bad with what they're doing. And I don't see that. I don't see them ever doing something just straight up bad with that. Do I think the series had too much hype? Where what you were saying earlier, yes, to the point where you're kind of like less excited because you're expecting some big reveals and stuff like that, even though that was never part of the plan. Yeah, I think that's something to recognize. But overall, I would give it anywhere from a 6 to a 7 out of 10 just for what it was, and I'm coming at it with like a high like critique, I guess. But one thing I guess what things I didn't like were probably, like I mentioned earlier, the villain was weak. Like Agatha was super weak, and I think throughout Marvel you've had better villains with like a better story coming in. And I just felt like with Agatha, you really didn't get too much of that. She was just this evil witch who was hungry for power, right?
I mean,
and then
my counter to that would be she's only introduced as the villain in the last 3 to 4 episodes. So it's not like
that's also a
it's
fair
not
point.
like Iron Man 1 where you find out halfway through the movie that Obadiah Stane is the bad guy. So like you can't really give Agatha that much time to become this fully formed villain if she's only given roughly half an hour to show her villainy.
Sure, but they could have definitely.
But she also
expanded on that.
was like
I personally
messing
don't.
with her. It
Like
wasn't
I won't.
My defense for the Agatha thing. Full defense for the Agatha thing is that this isn't supposed to be the story of Wanda versus Agatha. If it was, then having her be a bad villain would have been like a killer for me. The day to me it's supposed to be a story about Wanda and her experience, and I feel like Agatha is just there to add on to the fact of who she truly is. I feel like Agatha is just kind of a shoehorn to kind of get it going forward in the Marvel universe. That's what I saw her character as, not as this whole Wanda versus Agatha, who will win. It to me it was just Wanda's story, and I feel like that's the perspective I'm looking at it from, which is why I'm not letting that hurt.
But look at this. You can say that,
some things,
but then you can say that, but then you look at Hayward, who I actually thought was a pretty good villain because he took the place of someone who is a very realistic character, in my opinion, with the whole, hey, this is $3 billion worth of vibranium. Like, I'm not going to let you just take this body, stuff like that. I feel like he was a decent villain in the show. He was realistic. I understood where the character was coming from, even though, like, at times I didn't. But overall, he made sense. But with Agatha, like, I'm never going to be interested in a villain if you don't give some kind of backstory, like, or some kind of motive or reason for why they go about, like, even if it's just a little bit. So,
okay,
that's my
I'm not trying to change your thing. I just wanted to counter. Nick.
Yeah.
We're trying to change it. We're just trying to show you why it's completely stupid.
I would say, in terms of the Marvel Universe, I'd say this is an 8, because I think it definitely delivers on an emotional level of what it was trying to say, but I think there was some other Marvel properties that deliver higher on both the Marvel, like the emotional level, the universe level, and the villain level without sacrificing the others. So.
Okay. Ronnie?
He already went.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Oh, forgot. So I'm the last one.
It's just.
Okay. I would give it similar to Ronnie in the 8 range. I wouldn't go higher than 8.5. I think 8.2, 8.3 is probably where it sits really at home for me. I think the mystery elements and how it handles Wanda's story particularly really drives it home as one of the best in the upper echelon of MCU things for me. I totally understand the claim about the villains. I think Hayward is the stronger villain out of the two, but I think both of them ultimately in the end are relatively weak. Neither of them are really likable. I think they serve their purpose as similar to a B tier or a C tier villain would in the comics. They're kind of throwaway in the grand scheme of things, but they serve their purpose in the meantime. It's not to say these B and C tier villains don't have any power behind them. It's just they're not the ones we look forward to seeing our heroes fight.
Joey, can I just add one thing before you finish your comments on the show about the villain? The reason I'm stressing the villain is because it really doesn't take much to make a good villain, in my opinion. And think about Spider-Man: Homecoming with that little scene of what was his name, Vulture or something?
Mm-hmm.
His name was Vulture?
Yes.
Vulture.
That little scene in the beginning where it shows that Stark was kind of like taking control over it and like kind of infiltrating on his business and stuff like that. That little scene made him a really good villain because he was realistic and he was justified. So that's why it doesn't take much to make a good villain, in my opinion. So they can throw stuff in there like that.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you, but
Villain
I don't
doesn't have to be like an outside thing.
I don't
be your own villain.
think I don't think they had to be this great villain. I think they serve their purpose just fine as the relatively crappy villain. That's why it's not a 9 or a 10 for me. It's relatively in 8 range. It's very good. It's very enjoyable. It's got good comfort food for me because I love the family romance aspect to it. But I think the action served well when it wanted to. It's not great action, so that's why a lot of these things don't propel it to the 9 or 10. But I really enjoyed the experience over what the show brought me and how it is just as itself. And I look forward to revisiting it.
To the Marvel drought.
Very good end of the Marvel drought. All right. Unless anybody has any closing thoughts they want to get out, I'm gonna outro the show and whatnot. No. All right. We're all Gucci. All right. I want to thank everybody for their time today on the podcast. I want to thank Austin for joining us for the news segment. I'm sure he will be guest starring more frequently in the future, especially when he decides he actually wants to watch the show. Next week we will be we'll be doing news as normal, but then we will also be doing an in-depth focused Snyder Cut episode because it's the week before Snyder Cut. We will have some discussions off camera on how we are going to do the Snyder Cut. The plan in my head as of now is to do a normal episode that Friday talking about Falcon and Winter Soldier, and then whoever can fit in the time for the 4-hour movie will then take place in a special second episode on Sunday. If no one else can fit in the time, Nick and I will rant about it for a couple hours. I'm kidding, not a couple hours, maybe an hour. But I will have a lot to say on that regardless.
I'm curious to see what your guys' opinions on the movie are.
Wait. Dang. Raya, are we talking about Batman vs Superman? Justice League.
Oh, he hides.
What do you mean? What are you talking about? Is he joking?
Like,
He's
You're
joking.
talking about your like.
Outro it.
Wait, you're watching Justice League?
No, Justice
Are you
League comes
talking
out
about
on the
watching
18th,
Justice-
which is the same day, which is the Thursday. It's a Thursday, and it's a 4-hour movie in 2 weeks. Next week, we're gonna do a in-depth discussion talking about our expectations for it, predictions type deal, like we've done with WandaVision going into it. But I don't expect everyone to have the time to watch a 4-hour movie in between Thursday and Friday to do a podcast. So I figured I'd be like, watch the Falcon and Winter Soldier episode if you can. Take part in the podcast on Friday. We'll do a special episode on Sunday if anybody has time. If not, Nick and I will record something earlier. We'll figure it out. We'll handle it behind the camera. So that's the plan as of now. It may change before then, but I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Like the video if you enjoyed our conversation, and we're gonna keep it going. Boost it up in the algorithm.
Fuck yourselves. Yep.
I'm so glad that missed last week, and now you're gonna say it now. Comment your thoughts down below. Let us know where we were wrong, where we were right. What your thoughts are, how you would rank it, episode numbers, and all. Hype about the news. We will see you next week. Don't forget to hit click the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss a beat of the Joy Plays Games podcast.